saying the hard stuff to somebody in a compassionate way, and you can feel like it's coming from a good place. Um, I think that that's true love. I think you can say stuff to people, uh, maybe not so much out of a good place, and you kind of criticizing them and being kind of harsh on them. Um, I feel like that's kind of easy, but to be able to tell somebody something that they don't want to hear, but you know it's best for them and it's coming out of a good place, I think that that's true love.
Today we're at the home of NBA champion Jrue Holiday in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And we're talking about the joy of the game, but also the cost of the game. Missing so many important moments with friends and family, and the long-term outlook that requires so many short-term sacrifices. Jrue speaks about the foundation of generosity in his life, how his parents modeled it, and then to starting his own foundation with his wife, Lauren. We talk about the hard stuff, overcoming those difficult moments, and the people in his life who have his back. And lastly, Jrue shares his secret to creating meaningful relationships. So let's get into it.
Jrue Holiday at your house, thank you.
Thanks, man. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, another beautiful day in your backyard.
Yeah, it's not bad.
So that was a cool workout.
It was.
A lot of new stuff.
Learned some great stuff. I'm going to be pretty limber for this upcoming season. My hips are going to be open, my hamstrings, my calves, my quads. You know, most of the things that I use, because obviously as a basketball player you use all these, but defensively, moving laterally, I'm going to be good. I'm excited.
Well, you know, you're a learner, right?
Yeah.
I just getting to know you. You love learning.
Yeah.
And then today, working out, it feels like you might have learned some new stuff.
I did, and I feel like just from my journey of sports medicine or being able to be in this exercise space is I've learned a lot, and sometimes when I learn something new, I get super excited, but it's also really cool just because of how much I've already learned, and not just about the exercises, but even about myself. Like, you can always learn something new, so don't ever stop or don't ever think that you can't.
That's right. Let's go all the way back to the very beginning of the journey. You know, you told me you picked up basketball when you were 2.
Around there, yeah.
But then you played lots of sports kind of through high school, right?
Mm-hmm.
So tell me, how did basketball emerge as the number one?
The number one. I think basketball was the first ball sport that I picked up. So as a 2-year-old, like, I guess we did try to, like, soccer was in, baseball, we were doing that, but I think basketball was the first. But when it came to high school, my freshman year, I played football, and that's the first season, and had a great season, but it was just always something about basketball. I don't know if it was just the freedom that I had on the court, the way that I thought about the game to be creative, maybe how I interacted with my teammates, or maybe it was just because of my family. Like, everybody in my family played basketball. But at some point it was like, this is what I love to do the most out of all the other sports, so this is what I'm going to take a chance on.
So it wasn't, this is the thing that'll get me a ride to college. It was,
no.
This is the thing that I love.
Oh, no. This is the thing that I love. This is the reason why I play it now. It's not for the money. Again, the money is great. I think to be able to be on the biggest stage and compete in front of compete against the best players and kind of in front of the world is awesome. But, like, I love the game and at its purest form for even just how it brings people together. That's probably mostly what I love about basketball.
So did you play football and basketball all through college, or all through high school, or did you drop one?
I dropped one. So my freshman year, played football. We went to the semifinals or whatever state, lost. And then we went undefeated in basketball that year, all the way through state. So then after that, I was like,
Wow.
You know what? I think I'm going to stick with basketball. So since then, and you know, AAU picks up a lot, high school summers, and I would have had to split time between, like, football and traveling to other states to play basketball. So I ended up just sticking with it.
And when did the colleges start to approach you?
I'd probably say my sophomore year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so probably during my sophomore year. My freshman year, I actually got recruited for football. There were, like, college letters coming in, but my sophomore year is kind of where I had a breakout year in basketball. I really got to get creative on the court. All the seniors from my freshman year ended up leaving, so it ended up kind of being kind of my era, my turn to go out there and show what I can do. So from my sophomore year on.
So you're a teenager. You're realizing, man, I've got this gift of basketball.
Mm-hmm.
It might take me somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
Colleges are calling you when you're 15.
Yeah.
What's the hardest part of the high school journey, those 4 years?
I think it's kind of just figuring out life in terms of, and this is just beyond sports, but I also had friends. Like I had a life outside of basketball or outside of sports. So wanting to go to parties or wanting to hang out at my friend's house or trying to go to the movies or going to the mall, which I don't think kids do that much anymore. But like hanging out with my friends, and a lot of time with sports, you can't do, like you miss out on a lot of that because that's kind of an obligation that you have. You have an obligation to your teammates and that team. So on the weekends, if somebody has a birthday party or, whatever the case may be, if I'm already committed to a tournament, it's like, what do I choose? Do I choose to go here and maybe go out to the party and do whatever, or do I stick to the commitment of playing basketball and possibly let my teammates down? So that was like one of the hardest things for me, was trying to figure out kind of just what my goals were and how I could balance being a good friend at the same time being the best athlete I could be.
Yeah, because you said you love relationship. Right? That's what makes you go.
Yeah.
That's your
Yeah.
superpower. yesterday.
Luckily, a lot of my friends are athletes.
Right.
A lot of them play basketball or football or something like that. I think that definitely helps, where sometimes it's not just me missing like the party or the function. It's a couple of us because, we would go together or we'd have a tournament to go to. But yeah, man, relationships are one of the biggest things, I think, for me, and something that was in just kind of how my family was raised.
So here you are, 15, 16, 17. You're friends, right? I got
Yeah.
high schoolers. It's all
Yeah.
about friends.
Yeah.
But you're having to sacrifice that for the thing you love, but
Yeah.
also the thing that's going to,
Yeah.
like a goal, a
Yeah.
long-term goal.
Yeah.
That must have been hard.
It was. There were times where I'm like, man, I'd much rather like go here with my friends or do that. And my parents just always told me, like, well, once you commit to something, you have to see it through. Obviously, sometimes that hurts you, but it also is a life lesson. Like, it's not to give up or to quit. Like, you have to see it through. And something that I kind of instill in my kids too.
Yeah, I've heard that phrase: commit, have grit, don't
Yeah.
quit.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, that's really what it is. And it's not even just in sports. I mean, that's what I learned from sports, but you can apply it to any part of your life. If it's school, if it's whatever job you have, if you committed to, I don't know, if you committed to a college. It could literally be anything. So
let's talk about that. Now you're in college, UCLA.
Mm-hmm.
You meet Lauren.
Mm-hmm.
Basketball, is it still as fun as it was in high school? Is it more fun? Well, how's the experience change?
College basketball wasn't that fun for me. You definitely go through lows or you go through ebbs and flows in life, and it's the same thing in basketball, where in college it was just so different from high school. So it's kind of like you're going from being the best on the team to having to adjust to be middle of the road or average on another team, because the level of play here is so much better than it was in high school. It was fun learning about the sport in college and being able to learn from great coaches and other teammates. It's just sometimes it's so competitive that it kind of takes away the love a little bit. Like it kind of hurts it a bit. But one thing that I learned in college was I wasn't the only one going through that. But I learned that later. I learned that like after my first season was over. I'm like, man, I didn't know that you were struggling just as much as I was struggling, because there was 5 freshmen that came in. So even though we were really close, and you talk about a lot, you don't talk about everything all the time. So being able to kind of get that experience and be like, man, I didn't know you were going through the same thing I was. We could have like gone through it together, you know what I'm saying? But that's how you build even stronger bonds, just knowing that somebody with the same type of struggle, somebody that you knew went through the same thing you did, and you guys can kind of relate on that level.
It's like you went from the big fish to kind of the smaller fish.
Yeah,
But you just got to swim, right?
You just got to keep swimming.
Yeah.
Seriously. And that was one thing I feel like, I don't know if that's instilled in you or if that's just how you are as a person, but I've just always been the type to just keep going. Like, no matter if it's...
Have grit.
If you're in the mud and your feet aren't getting out of the mud like you wanted to, you just got to keep going until it does.
And so that's a tough journey. What was harder, into college or into the rookie year pros?
Man, two different challenges. I think because what I went through in college helped me for my rookie year in the NBA. I think a little bit of feeling like I was struggling with basketball helped me with being the rookie, being the youngest. At the time, I was the youngest one in the NBA. I was for sure the youngest one on my team. So being able to kind of already go through it, I knew what it was like. The different elements of this was I'm not 26 minutes from my house. I'm across the country at this point. So that was like another element thrown on top of, honestly, just me becoming more of an individual, me maturing and growing up.
So like you're missing the social support, but it's also making you become a more strong person, individual.
Yeah, it's making me become more of a man where not everything is going to be the way I want it to be. And sometimes you go through hard times or struggles and you come out of it because you just, like we said, it's the grit and you just keep going. So now that I look back at it, it's definitely a part of my journey and the reason why I'm here today and why I feel like I'm so tough in a lot of situations. I feel like I can get out of anything. But it's definitely something, too, where as the vet, I know young guys coming in, I can share my experience. And I could maybe see on their face, like, hey, you all right? Like, how you doing? Because I know you might be out here by yourself and you've never really been away from home, away from your family. I feel like I can be a little bit of support for them.
It's interesting how you mentioned the word tough, right? You got to be tough to be in the NBA 14 seasons.
Yeah.
And you got to be tough on the court because you're playing to win.
Got to.
But you've got this side of you that loves the harmony and builds a culture on a team. Like that's your superpower yesterday. And then you've got this extremely soft heart. Like generosity is, people say Jrue Holiday, say, oh yeah, one of the most generous guys I know.
That's good.
Where'd that come from?
I think it's a lot of it's being Christ-like, but you just aren't Christ-like. I mean, every little kid has a little sticky in them. But I would say my parents. My parents did a good job of instilling in us that giving is one of the best feelings. It's just kind of like when, again, today's my daughter's birthday. So even thinking, like my daughter's opening up all these gifts, but my daughter also wants her little brother to be a part of it. It's like she's giving up a little bit of what's supposed to be her day to include her little brother, and I think that that's kind of cool. But it really started with my parents. We used to go to Skid Row and help out there with homelessness. We used to have to do charity work. We had to do it all through high school. There were a lot of times where even if I had clothes or hand-me-downs, we'd have to give it on. Just a lot of giving, and then just became second nature. It just became a part of my life.
So what you're telling me is generosity is not genetic.
It could be. I wouldn't say so. Just a lot of the little kids that I see, and even like my son's like, mine. Oh, that's my ball, mine. It's always about me or mine. You definitely have to teach generosity in a lot of spaces.
And it sounds like it wasn't just taught at your house, it was also modeled.
It was modeled. It was a way of life. It was definitely something that we had to talk about every single day. There's 4 of us, and there wasn't a lot of things, so we always had to share and be able to give and stuff.
And now you get to model that for your 2 kids.
I try to model it for my kids, and not only my kids. I try to model it to anybody that I come across, even if it's the younger players on the team, if it's even like with our foundation, just showing how much we're trying to give. And it doesn't always have to be like money. It can be time. It could be resources. It can be your knowledge. Like there's so many ways to give. I just feel like giving is the best way.
Tell me about the foundation.
Yeah, JLH Foundation, Jrue and Lauren Holiday Foundation or Fund. We give to Black and brown businesses. We try to support them. It started during the pandemic where a lot of my community was just struggling to find a way out of the mud. And I know a lot of the times in situations like that where it seems like our economy and our way of life is kind of going in shambles, I still had a job and I was still getting paid quite a bit of money. So my wife and I decided to give up the rest of my salary for that year, which is about $5 million, to black and brown owned businesses and nonprofits. And we've been doing it for about 4 years now. So it's been a good journey. It's been tough, but really just trying to give an opportunity for other people, just like they gave me an opportunity.
So it sounds to me like you're finding people who have already started a bit of a fire, right? And you're just putting a log on it for them. Like you're helping them grow.
Trying to, yeah. And a lot of the businesses, you can see that this is like their love. This is what they love to do, and this is what they put their life into. So you definitely feel for it because this is what I did with basketball. Like I did that with basketball, I did it with my sport, and you see these people with this passion, and it's kind of like you said, just there is a fire. I'm just trying to ignite that fire maybe just a little bit more.
Yeah, because we can't give someone a passion. You
No.
got 2 kids.
No, you can't. But I think to be able to see it in somebody's eyes, to really see it in their heart, and to take it seriously, like it really is a cool thing to see. And again, for me, I tell them all the time, like it's easy to give the money. Like it's material, it's tangible, something that you can get. But I think for them to have that passion, for them to go through the lows and the highs, and be able to kind of see them progress and go through their own journey and get to where they want to get to, that's definitely something that I want to be a part of.
So was there a time in your life where you decided, this is how I want to live my life? Like, was there a particular chapter you can think of?
Off the top of my head, no. I think it just felt right. It was just always a better feeling to get to know people. Is a better feeling to give to others. And even just for my personality, I get very uncomfortable when people give me stuff, especially for free or whatever. So that's just part of my personality. But I also know usually when somebody gives, it's usually out the kindness of their heart, and that makes me feel good. Like, man, like very thoughtful, you thought of me. So I think seeing it in that way, and then me trying to reciprocate that, me trying to give back, just because, for no other reason other than I just want to see you succeed. I think that's it's just always been cool.
So you were saying that Lauren does a good job of breathing confidence into who you are, to be your best self, and what a gift that is. Maybe before Lauren, or even during your 10 years of marriage, was there a time where you just kind of found yourself going the wrong direction and just needed to course correct?
I think mentally, yeah. I think there are times where you kind of get down on yourself, like, can I make it, or am I good enough to do this? My parents and my support system definitely helped me a lot with that. Having an older brother who was going through the same thing, especially in high school and college, that I was, and always being there, like, by my side, and us kind of going through it together really helped. My parents, who were both collegiate athletes, both played basketball, kind of knew that situation or that type of life, definitely helped. And then at the same time, they're my parents, so who knows me better. But struggling with stuff like that, I just think your parents and your family always know, like, I can give you a pick-me-up. But my wife was always one of the strongest ones who can read me, even though sometimes I'm good at hiding, like, how I feel or what I'm feeling. She's always been good at reading me and just either telling me in a very blunt way or in a softer way, like, you got it.
You have a very busy life, right?
Try to.
How often do you talk to your brothers, sisters, or parents? Like once a week, once a month?
You know, quite a bit. I'd probably say there's been times in my life where out of each of my siblings and even my parents, it's been more. So like, I think I talked about it maybe yesterday where my mom was the one my rookie year I was talking to the most. Then I would say maybe a couple years after that, my dad would come down all the time. He'd be at my place for months at a time, then he'd go back home for a month and come with me for a month. And then my older brother ended up coming to the league probably 4 years after I was in the league. So that was another way that we reconnected and we're kind of on the same page about our careers and where we want to go and what we want to do. At the time, I think my little sister might have been in high school and my little brother was in middle school. So no, he might have been in high school too. So even having that age gap, talking about girls, talking about school, kind of reconnected that way. Now I would probably say my sister is the one I talk to the most. Everybody in my family has kids now. She just had a son probably 8 or 9 months ago, but she's the one I probably talk to the most about anything. Literally, if I have something that I want to get off my chest, or or her calling me. Yesterday, she called me because one of the boys in her class didn't believe that I was her brother. So she called me in the middle of class, and I was like, "Yeah, bro, you better listen to my sister. I'm gonna come down there and like kick you. You know what I mean? I'm gonna kick your butt." But yeah, stuff like that. So I would say my family, we're still really close. We talk very, very often.
Man, I just get the sense talking to you that you've had a life of people investing in you, especially your family.
Yeah,
You're obviously your wife, and what a gift that has been.
it's definitely been a blessing.
Who has invested in you outside of your family, your wife, that comes to mind? Who's the first person that comes to mind?
Honestly, there's a couple coaches that come to mind. One is JJ Prince. He coaches at Viewpoint in California right now, but he was like one of my favorite coaches, and the reason why was he treated me the same way as every other player, not even player, but person. He always was the one there encouraging me, but he didn't let me off the hook, where I felt like he knew I had something special in me, and that was really big for me. Another one, so at the high school that I went to, we had advisory groups where we'd go to this advisor as a class, or like just a group. For me, it was a group of boys, and we can go there and talk to them, share like our struggles, share what we're happy about. His name is Juan Velasquez, works at the high school that I went to still. He's somebody that like I really admired and really just somebody being there for me. And then I got a couple pastors that I talked to. One is actually here. He's great because when I met him here, he was a pastor, but I met him as a barber. And you know, when you meet somebody as a barber and you trust their haircut, you pretty much trust them for life. So he pretty much became like one of my companions and a friend, but a mentor to me, not only through Christ and teaching me about the Bible, but just everyday stuff, talking about whatever, speaking on whatever, very big in the community. So he's been somebody who's been huge in my life.
So it's these people that have invested in you. They don't just love you; they give you the tough love.
Yeah.
And that's the difference.
Yeah. I think
'Cause they say things that are hard to say.
I think being able to say that to someone, saying the hard stuff to somebody in a compassionate way, and you can feel like it's coming from a good place. I think that's true love. I think you can say stuff to people, maybe not so much out of a good place, and you kind of criticizing them and being kind of harsh on them. I feel like that's kind of easy, but to be able to tell somebody something that they don't want to hear, but you know it's best for them and it's coming out of a good place, I think that's true love.
Yeah, it's a gift.
It definitely is a gift. It definitely is a gift. My wife has the gift because she tells me all the time when I'm wrong all the time.
So look, last question. We're wrapping it up. Season starts in a week or two.
Yeah.
Basketball, not basketball, doesn't matter. Tell me a personal goal that you have for the next 12 months. Anything in your life.
You know, one thing that I've really been trying to do is be in the moment and enjoy it. I do think sometimes when you go through these journeys or even seasons of just life or basketball, they move quickly or they move fast, and you don't really slow down to really get like the big scope or the big picture of maybe of what God's trying to do or showing in your life, or even just reach out and touch people that maybe just need it at that moment. But I think one of the biggest things for me is always to kind of be present, where again, a lot of times you can think about yourself and what I need to do to get better, or what I need to do to move here or level up. Sometimes it is like meeting this person, me meeting you, you help me level up, and we do it together. So just kind of being present and being there.
And that's hard in this day of social media and swiping, and man,
it's hard.
That's a tough goal you got.
It's hard because my family has like the school life and soccer practice and gymnastics and tennis and all that, and then there's times where I'm on the road, and on the road sometimes you just have so much to think about. You have so much time to think about this, and then you have time to soak in it, and just a lot of things going on. So I think that when it comes time to like really sit down and think about it, being present, and even in the struggle being present and trying to find my way and see like what am I going to get out of this? Like, how is this going to make me stronger? I think that helps you in your career, but it also helps you in life.
Well, I'm so grateful that you're present today and for this conversation.
Thanks, man.
Thank you so much.
For sure.
We'll see you.
Thank you guys for coming to the house, man.
Our pleasure.
Yeah.